So the Boston Bruins training camp is underway. We've had a preseason game. We've had a bunch of different things going around with them. Um, there's new life. There's new blood in the organization, and it is about as positive as I've seen things in the last 2 years, probably. The players' vibes seem to be extremely high. They seem to be enjoying Monty. They seem to be enjoying camp so far. And I think that just every single press conference that Jim Montgomery's done has given me blind false hope in the Boston Bruins. I don't know if, it's going to be stupid. It might be, but I'm fully like, I love what he has to say. I like how positive he's been. The guy hasn't said one bad thing about one of his players. He's talked about how he's
Shocker.
going to, you say that, but like Bruce was a guy who had no problem suing his players in the media. I don't think we're going to get that out of Jim Montgomery. I really don't. Probably because of the life experiences he's gone through and just just his personality. I don't think he's going to be a use the media as a weapon type guy. You know what I mean? I just don't get that vibe.
Yeah.
How do you feel so far? Either one of you.
For me, I think it's a really positive light around the team. Like if you just looked at the roster, right, for the Bruins this year, you look at them and be like, oh my God, like this is a Stanley Cup contender roster with the players that they have on it. Bringing Krejci back this year, doing the flip Halla for Zaka. Now they have Anton Strawman on a PTO. But the thing that I think is going to really hurt the Bruins and potentially, cause them to have to fight for a playoff spot is the 3 injuries to begin the year with, McAvoy, Grzelcyk, Marchand. Sounds like you might get some of these players back sooner than expected, but you can't really count on that. You never know if they start training again and tweak something and poof, they're out for another month or two. It's kind of a crapshoot you can't really guarantee on. But the overall vibe around the Bruins right now is pretty positive so far.
Yeah, no, I totally touch on that. Definitely the injuries are going to hurt. You can't replace Charlie McAvoy, but what we saw out of Jakob Saboro, the kid's he's back. He's fully healthy from the ACL tear, and just playing 25 minutes of ice time the other night, he looked like he has the offense, he has the defense. He was like one of the only players that really like stood out the whole entire game. He played a full game, both ends of the ice. So I think Zaboro can reach the level that he was starting to flash before his injury last season. I think the Bruins are definitely in good shape up there in the top 4, especially if Carlo, like Montgomery's talked about, we're going to get Carlo going offensively. If Carlo can take that step like you've been hoping the last couple of years he would, I feel like the defense is in a lot better situation than we thought, especially if Strawman can come in and solidify that. So that's definitely exciting to see there. And then for me, it was the rookies. Like having Beecher playing on that top line, playing along with DeBrusque and Foligno. He's doing what he needed to do. He didn't wow you, but he showed he knows how to use the big body. He knows he's ready to play. And I think having him play with Foligno, you have him trying to get adjusted to possibly playing with Foligno on that 4th line. Because if Beecher's going to play, that's what he's going to be. He's going to be on the 4th line. He's going to be playing with Foligno. So
he's going to be winning faceoffs.
Right,
he looks
exactly.
great in the faceoff dot. That's for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, kind of bouncing off what both of you guys said. I think the Bruins, when healthy, are going to have a very, very good decor. I do think Strawman's probably going to make this team, which opens the door for a trade, and that's just without a doubt irrefutable fact. If Strawman makes this team, when you're healthy, someone's got to go. So I don't mind that. I don't mind seeing who fits and who's going to be your best guys, and then having actual NHL assets you can trade. And even if you're trading them for some draft picks, good. That's okay. Like, that's not a problem. You know what I mean? So I really do. I'm interested to see how all that goes. But from watching the preseason game, as both you guys said, my number one standout player was Zaboral. He looked like an alpha dog defenseman. His passing looked great. I don't want to overreact to a preseason game against a Flyers roster who's playing a bunch of guys with no names, with Torts up in the box. What a clown Torts is What a clown. He's going to do the whole preseason up in the box. You know that's just a Torts thing, like a power thing. Like, dude, Torts, fucking clown. Hate that guy. But, yeah, sorry. I just got angry about Torts. Something about him in the box with his little smug look, knowing he's, like, walking by every player and not saying hello and acting like he's above all of them. I just hate. Go Bees.
Yeah, but you kind of have to respect that, I guess, but we won't go into that too far. One of the things that has been kind of a standout for me so far is the potential fourth line matchup, like what you can pair up for the Bruins fourth line this season. It seems like they have like 12 different options for 3 positions. And I think that it's really going to cause a lot of competition, and your veterans like Nosek, Wagner, and Foligno could very well get pushed out of the lineup pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think Foligno has the longest leash out of the 3 you just said.
Yeah.
I just think he has the most actual natural talent out of the 3 of them. He has the most track record. He's the best presence, and he's the highest skilled player of the 3 of them. Nosek, it just sucks. I have no like. And they're like, Nosek's great at faceoffs. Want to know who else is really, really good at faceoffs and actually has upside and could benefit from playing on that line? Johnny Beecher. So is a great penalty kill player. So see you later, Nosek. That's what I have to say about that. Wagner, I like Wags. I like Wags a lot. I've always liked Wags. I like
he made his presence felt in the playoffs last year. That's for sure.
Listen, if our fourth line was going to be Beecher centering Wagner and Foligno, I won't complain. I would just say, okay, we got a young guy with 2 veterans who can usher him into the league the right way, and 2 veterans who do have the ability to score 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 goals. That could be a pretty good fourth line. But then it's like, there's guys who are pushing. There's Oscar Steen. I know I'm forgetting other people, right? Like I'm forgetting McLaughlin. But see, those guys, here's the thing. The Bruins this season, and I know Connor and I agreed on this earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 7 to 8 guys who play 30 to 40 games in that fourth line. I'm really not going to be surprised if that's what we see, because the Bruins, as we've said from the start, have an abundance of bottom 6 talent. They're stacked with it. And it's
for the first time in ever.
Yeah, no, and it's a good thing, right? Like if we have some mid-level forwards get hurt this year, I think we can replace them with players who are the exact same. So that's always a positive. What's up, Kev?
No, then they have the big thing. You're like, if you don't trade Smith, and when Marshy comes back, Zaka's going to the 3rd, and now you have Frederick on the 4th. Like,
and I don't.
It's wild.
I think we all agree the Bruins, if everyone executes to the level that we're hoping they can, the Bruins will be forced to make a trade. Because they are not going – if Freddie is playing to his ability, I just don't see them choosing a guy who has a year left in his contract in his mid to late 30s over him. It just doesn't make sense for the longevity and the future of this team. And as non-forward-thinking as they are trying to make this one last year, 2-year window, 1-year window, they care about the future too. So, like, if they can usher in those young players, they want to. Because Sweeney and Neely like getting this NHL paycheck. They don't want to lose their jobs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like, it's just they're not, I'm not going to sit here and think the Bruins aren't looking to the future at all right now, because they have these young guys in these spots to make the team for a reason. My last thing on all this, I don't want to get too long-winded on the Bruins. Fabian Lysell looked outstanding. He had about 6 or 7 chances where the Tendy just made a nice save. He's silky with his hands. He gets shots off quick. He's dynamic when he skates. He takes defenders on one-on-one. The last player the Bruins have had that looked like that as a young player, as a rookie, was David Pastrnak, and it's not a question about it. Fabian Lysell is going to be a player in the NHL. It's not going to be this year, though.
No, it's not.
Because they don't have the spot for him. And there's absolutely no reason to rush this kid and put him in a spot where he is going to be frowned upon to be offensively dynamic. If someone gets hurt, he will get his games. He'll get to play at some point this year. I fully do believe that. If he's in Providence, he'll get his chances to play in Boston. But if he starts the season with the Bruins, we're going to be seeing a major trade coming because it just doesn't make sense. Because I don't think Zucker or Jake DeBrusk have done anything to knock themselves out of the early top 6. And sure as shit, no Taylor Hall and David Pastrnak happening. So just like, what are we doing? Like, it's just people like Lizelle has a chance to be on the second line this year. Well, what are you talking about? Like, who are you removing? Like, who are you? Is it over Pasta? Is it? Are we gonna go? We want Lizelle over Pasta? That's where it's like,
Well, if he doesn't sign, we want him.
Yeah, that's just Boston being Boston. My thing, like this time of year when it's actually like it's time for people who know hockey to start talking. I tune out a lot of the Facebook group Bruins fans and their ideas and their thoughts. Guys like, Mark's got a year left and he'll be signing at vet minimum. He'll be so old. I'm like, yeah, he'll be 30. So that's not exactly 70, but I don't know. You guys got anything else with the Bruins? I'm sure there's something. No?
Not today. I mean, I guess, well, I lied. I think to the point of Anton Strawman being able to make this team, a lot of people see what he did in Florida and Arizona, and they're like, oh my God, this guy sucks. Why would we bring him in on a PTO?
Those teams suck.
A lot of people forget Anton Strawman was the D pair for Victor Hedman for multiple years in a row. So this dude can hack it, and he can keep up with good talent.
And he can shoot the puck in the net.
He can. I don't know if he still can, but
no. But I think Strawman is fine. He's fine, and you need guys who are fine when the going gets tough.
So who do you bump? Cliffy Hockey?
Nah, I know that's the problem. It's like everything Jim Montgomery says, everything he says is just literally tailor-made for Cliffy Hockey. He wants him taking chances, making mistakes, getting in the zone, taking shots. He wants a 4-man attack. He said that today. 4-man attack's how the Bruins are going to operate. Did you hear that today, Connor? You raised your eyebrows a bit.
I didn't hear that yet.
Yeah, no, they're talking Bruins with a 4-man attack. That's
going to be interesting.
Yeah, so like Cliffy Hockey, Charlie McAvoy, Matt Grzelcyk are your guys for that. They're going to roll that. And Lindholm and Carlo are going to too. Brandon Carlo. Connor, speak for 1 minute, and I'm going to come back with something for us.
For Brandon Carlo?
Yeah, what do you think about Carlo in this year? Have you listened to any of his talk?
Him personally, no, but I've heard some of the conversations that Jim Montgomery's had on him and hoping that he can jump up into the play, transition the offense a little bit. And for me, like, I get it. You know, you want your defenseman to kind of start that rush there, but that's really not who Brandon Carlo is as a player. We started to see him make the effort a little bit more last year. And, you know, when it actually happened and you were looking at it on the screen, you were like, oh my God, that's Brandon Carlo. And you're like, okay, that really didn't look that awful, but he looks out of place when he does it on the ice. Like, that's not his identity as a defenseman. And I think that's where the pairing of him and Grzelcyk has worked for the most part. It's kind of like the pairing of like a Chara and a McAvoy over the past few years when they were together. You know, one of them's definitely more the stay at home, I'm going to protect your ass kind of defenseman, and the other one can live it up and freewheel it.
The point I was going to make, it's not really a good point.
Well, let's hear it.
I thought I had some ear. I looked at Carlo coming into the NHL was seen as a guy who could generate rush. I remember when he was drafted. I remember the talk about him. He was a guy who could generate offense. In his last year in juniors, in 52 games, he had 27 points. Nothing to go crazy about, but he was a point every other game guy. Carlo does have the ability to generate offense. Yes, that was juniors, and I get it. It is what it is. But I fully do think that Carlo can be a guy who can get more points. He's better than 15 points in 79 games. I think he can be a 30-point defenseman, a 25-point defenseman. And that's what I think he needs to be for this Bruins team if he's going to be in the top 4 role, because I think this team's going to be trying to score a lot of goals. You know, I really do. Like, this is going to be a much more offensive-minded Bruins team for the first time in a while. The Bruins have the talent to be super offensive. They really do. And from the back end. I don't mean from the front end. The Bruins have been pretty solid offensively from the front end. But I think we're going to see numbers jump up on the back end, and he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to. But just the way that Montgomery's talking, he wants them to be a go gadget type of team.
Yeah, I mean, there's risk and there's reward, right? Like, you could look at Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark and be like, yeah, they're a pretty serviceable, NHL goalie tandem. But that was with a very defensive-minded Bruins team. Now, if you're going to flip the script and, want defensemen to jump up to the rush, mistakes are going to happen. You're going to get caught with your pants down.
Yep.
You're probably going to see a dip in goaltending numbers, to be honest with you. Like, the Bruins are going to go from a team who was going to beat you 2-1 or 3-2 to a team who's going to hopefully try to beat you, 6-5, 6-4. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they still have the players to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to be that drastic. I really don't. I think that defensively they're still going to be, because they're not changing their defensive systems. It's their transition and offensive systems.
But that's kind of one and the same.
You're going to give up more chances. You're going to give up more rushes for sure. We'll see. I think the Bruins goaltending is going to take a step up talent-wise. I think comfortability and Swayman's going to get better. So I don't know if it really just washes, to be honest.
I don't necessarily agree. So I know that you've heard me say this probably a million times by now, but I think this is the year that Jeremy Swayman kind of comes back to reality a little bit. He's been seen around long enough in the league. Everybody's going to have that book on him now. And I think this is the year that you're going to see him be more mediocre than you have before.
Yeah, I'm still high on Swayman.
I'm not saying that he's not going to be a great goaltender. I'm just going to say that he's going to give up more goals and more opportunities than he has previously. People are going to know where to shoot the puck on Swayman and where his flaws are.
Yeah, I mean, that book was out last year too, though. Like, by the end of the year, man. Like, dude, when you play as many games as they did, they know. I mean, we saw him get exploited. We saw it. They started to get him on his lack of rebound control, things like that. I mean, they're both good. Ullmark and Swayman are both good goalies. The Bruins, the goaltending is not where this team's weak. Do you think it's where they're weak?
No, I think, honestly, the bottom six is still where the team is weak, to be honest.
But they have the depth. You said it yourself. Most depth they've had in a long time.
But it's all mediocre.
Is it, though? Or do a lot of teams have better than Charlie Coyle as their third line center?
Yes and yes.
No, not really. They don't. I think that we forget how good of a year Charlie Coyle actually quietly had last year, and no one gives him any credit for, myself included.
What do you have, 16 goals and
16 goals, 28 assists, 44 points.
Yeah.
Point every other game. That's what you want on your third line center. That was his best year of his career, other than 2016. It's his second highest year. Pretty good.
I don't know. I'm not very high on Coyle.
Yeah, you're not high on him because you don't like the way he plays. I'm the same way. I'm not very high on him either, but he does the job. He gets the job.
I hate paying a third line center $5.25 million.
Yep, but it's relative. The problem is when it was signed when the cap's supposed to be way higher now. It was a pre-COVID deal. We're lucky we didn't give Torrey Krug $8 million too in the same summer. Would have been a big problem. Legit.
Thank you, Don Sweeney.
Would have been a problem. I think it's time to move on. Let's jump into our next section, which is the Salt of the East, and we're going to get into our breakdown now of the Atlantic Division.